Well, ask any player who has ever thrown on a UConn Hoops jersey. They'll probably tell you that basketball is in their DNA, and it's especially true for one redshirt senior, Caroline Ducharme. Back in 2022, Ducharme was hit in the face in a game against DePaul. One injury spurred into a 2-year battle with concussions that nearly ended her career. She took a medical redshirt her junior season and underwent special treatment at Aviv Clinics in Florida. She made a return to the hardwood last year, and the UConn guard sat down with me to share her journey that brought her back to the sport that she loves.
When did you start to realize that there was something serious going on?
I always knew in the back of my mind, leading up to the year that I took off, I knew that this wasn't normal, but again, I always tried to convince myself it wasn't, and I don't think it was until I went to Aviv and got all my assessments done, and I remember even going there with my parents and telling them, well, they're probably going to say that my situation is not even severe enough to need this. When I got my scans back and, seeing just like the drastic difference in my brain, and this is really scary and really serious, but it also kind of gave me a little bit of relief that I'm like, I knew I wasn't crazy, like I knew there was something.
When you say, I'm not crazy, what were some of the things that you felt like either you were feeling or were happening where you were trying to convince yourself, I'm not insane, like these are real symptoms that I'm feeling?
Yeah, well, I would play and I was throwing up during practice and I was constantly feeling dizzy. I was losing feeling in my fingers, driving and trying to check in my blind spot, and then I'd come back and be like, oh, wow, I'm kind of dizzy and stuff like that, or getting out of bed, being around too much lights, noise.
How did you come to terms with the decision to take a medical red shirt?
That was one of the hardest decisions I've had to make, and I really drew it out as long as possible because, I've had physical injuries as well, pretty serious ones, so I knew what that was like to be physically unable to play, unable to move, and obviously with our team the last few years, like we've had countless surgeries, and seeing how hard that was on them, I was like, well, I can physically run, I can physically do things. It wasn't until obviously, like I said, I saw the scans that how much more dangerous that really is. I convinced myself that everything was fine. I think everybody knew that it was serious when I myself was saying, no, I can't do this anymore.
Was there a moment in your recovery process where you thought, I may not come back?
I don't think I ever really said that to anybody, but I always thought it in the back of my mind. Like I would always tell everybody, no, I'm coming back, I'm coming back, I'm coming back. And I think I kind of used that to keep myself sane throughout the process of like having something to look forward to, because everyone would always say like, oh, get your life back, don't worry about basketball. But for me, like basketball was my life, and it still is. So the main treatment is hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So I would sit in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber for 2 hours every day, and they would hook me up to a mask, and I would have this tablet, and it would be all designed like for my specific needs, like for my specific brain injury, and it would just be brain games, and I would have to pass different levels while I was getting oxygen. So it was like working the specific parts of my brain that I needed while generating new stem cells.
You're a Division I athlete, you've played basketball all your life, I'm sure you've dealt with your fair share of physical injuries, but the brain is so different. Like how frustrating is some of that recovery where you're having to do brain games and you can't just kind of put ice on it and move on?
They're so frustrating because, like I said, they're literally pinpointing the parts of your brain that you aren't developed in, and so I would come home and my mom will tell you, like, I was just exhausted by the end of the day. And, I'm used to being exhausted here, physically, and, your body hurts or stuff like that, but I would come home and I'd be like, Mom, my brain hurts. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to look at anything. The way, like, somebody explained it to me one time when I was there was it's like when a baby learns, like, a new task or, like, a new skill, and they are so tired and, like, then they just, like, keep doing it. It's like retraining your brain to be able to do these things because they're easy. It's like following the numbers and tracking it and remembering this, and it should be easy, but it's exhausting by the end of the day.
What was the feeling like stepping back onto the court, putting on the jersey, and kind of being back where you wanted to be?
Yeah, that was pretty surreal. And I just remember Coach was like, do you want to play? And I don't think I even waited for, I don't think I even responded. I think I just ran out there. And yeah, it was really exciting just to be able to be back on the floor. And obviously, it's just the first step. It was exciting.